Welcome to the Travel Think Tank on the Hub. This is where the agents and suppliers work together under one roof. I'm Pat Miller, your host, and one of the co-founders here on the Hub. My other co-founder, Tom Brousseau, is riding shotgun. We'll check in with him in just a moment. Today's Travel Think Tank is a continuation. It's part 3 or 4 or 19. I'm not sure what part it is, but it's a continuation of our Path to Prosperity project that we're working on here at the Hub. The vision is, what can we do now to help revitalize our business, capture opportunity as we can, and be ready for when things get back to normal, which, say it with me, is going to be sooner rather than later, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Right. Yes, absolutely. So this is an interactive workshop, the Travel Think Tank. We're going to have some folks on the call work with us as we collaborate through the issues that are on the table. And today, it's an all hands on deck show with a little bit of a conversation on engaging with our customers. So before we get to that, let's start by checking in with my co-founder and the travel guy himself, Tom Brousseau. So Tom, how are you? How was the weekend? What's going on?
Hey, I am doing very well. Thank you for asking. The weekend was fantastic. So we don't have too many great weekends left here in Wisconsin before the flakes start flying. So we're going to maximize every minute of that. But yeah, very good. Some good developments, on the travel side, for my own business. I was able to land a really nice corporate getaway group for January of next year. And that made me feel really good. And also some onesies and twosies here and there that are booking, for travel in November and so forth. So overall, feeling optimistic. Let's put it that way.
It seems like things are shaking loose just ever so slightly. Is that my perception, or do you think that's actually what's happening?
I think so. I mean, I get a sense of that. I think that, there's only one way to go, right?
Right.
There's only up at this juncture. So, I think, there is more of a willingness, and when it's kind of some of the things we want to talk about today is, how do we tap into that? How do we market or message to that? So, as we get into the call today, we want to touch bases on that. But I would say, cautiously optimistic that, things are, beginning to get some momentum, and hopefully that will continue. I think one of the key things that's happening is that the cruise line industry is really pressing the CDC to allow them to start sailing again. The cruise industry is basically at the mercy of the CDC, who is controlling whether or not they can indeed sail. And so there's a lot of pressure being put on the CDC to allow the cruise lines to get back to business, because the cruise line's opinion is like, hey, you know what? We've done our diligence. We understand the safety protocols. We can do it, and you need to let us. And so we'll have to see how that shakes out, in the next, weeks to come, because I think that's going to be the next major thing that will come down the pipe from a travel tourism standpoint.
Do you think cruises are being held to a higher standard based on their history of sometimes having, having a disease pop up every once in a while on a cruise doesn't seem unusual? It's happened before. Do you think they're being held to a higher standard because of the history of that industry?
I think so, and I think at the start of the coronavirus breakout, all the negative PR that the cruise industry got, all the examples of ships that were kind of stranded that couldn't get back. But as we talked about back then, the number of ships that are out sailing, the cruise ships that are sailing and in service on any given day, is a huge number, bigger than what you could ever imagine it is. If I asked you to guess how many cruise ships are sailing on any given day, you'd probably say 200 or 250 or something along those lines. Well, it's actually more than 800 in service, during a normal, cruise season. And in the big scheme of things, yes, they had issues, but they also didn't, on a vast majority of the ships. So yeah, I think the nature of their business and the contained, kind of the contained environment is one of the drivers, I would say, for sure.
Well, to our collaborators on the call, we want to bring you into the conversation, but we had to mute the mics there for a second. So if you want to jump into the chat and let us know that you've got something to add, please do so, because we want to get everybody on screen and hear all of our voices today. But Tom, let's start here. You want to continue the conversation on the Let's Go There campaign. If someone didn't see last week's episode, what is that campaign, and what do you want to do with it next?
Sure. As we mentioned last week, this is something that kind of came to our attention. Mine and Danielle saw it as well. I don't know if following our conversation, you guys have had a chance to look at it, but it's a very wide scale consumer advertising campaign that is being run by the U.S. Travel Association in conjunction with a number of high-level hoteliers and other travel companies. And if you were watching Monday Night Football last night, you would have saw the Let's Go There commercial run on Monday Night Football. And what caught my attention, just to reiterate from last week, is that when I looked at that and I looked at the website and I tried to understand what the goal and the mission of it was, the missing piece of the puzzle was that there was no travel agent engagement piece. There was no travel agent call to action. And, there definitely is a need and a place for that. So I reached out to them and they did follow up, and I spoke to them yesterday. I spoke to Sarah Shields, her name is, Director of Industry Communications, and she was really great. We had a really good conversation. They definitely understood the travel agent engagement piece, and I think really are open to agent involvement. And we talked about how that might look and how we could collaborate together. So I'm waiting to hear back from them, because this isn't a one-off thing. They're actually planning to continue this Let's Go There campaign throughout the fall and even into the winter. They're going to take a break for the election timeframe, but this is a longer term campaigning program. And what caught my eye was that there's tons of video assets, and there's a message, there's an aspirational message or inspirational message, like we talked about on the last call, that they're fulfilling. And so essentially they're providing us with tools, and it's up to us to use the tools. So and if there is no travel agent call to action messaging associated with it, we should just create our own. Use their tools, write our own copy, and get that out into the marketplace, because why not? They spent the money and invested in the creation of the campaign and all these great videos that really tell the exact story that we're trying to tell based on our last phone call. They want to get people thinking about planning again. They want to get people thinking about how much they miss being on vacation, and so do we. So let's go ahead and use the assets and the messaging that they've created and use it to our advantage, because at the end of the day, we're the ones that are going to make the sales. We don't want people relying upon a click through to some hotel direct website. We want to get ourselves in the middle of that sales process, because we're better at it. Yep. And, we are the industry experts when it comes to how to plan and execute your next vacation. So I think we all agree upon that.
Well, definitely alignment between what they're trying to do and what we're trying to do here at the Hub. Molly, have you seen that campaign, and what do you think about that campaign and what we can do with it?
Yeah, I saw it and felt like, definitely, I totally agree with Tom on everything that he said, is that this is an opportunity for those people who are our suppliers to get their word out through us, because we're the ones that sell them. We're the ones that promote them. So definitely I'm on board with all of that. Just like when I kind of put in there about St. Lucia, I got a blurb that St. Lucia just got down to level 1. I mean, oh, wow. That is something that we've got to take advantage of and get right out there as soon as it happens. With this Let's Go, that same kind of feeling and initiative needs to happen when something like that comes out. We need to be able to be a part of it to get it going, because just saying let's go and putting a video out there is one thing, but then getting people to actually utilize that information is where we come in.
That nicely produced video might get our customers' attention, so that's good, but you're saying it has to be more than that. Can you think of something that we could pair with it that would get their attention, or at least move them closer to action? Because I hear what you're saying, but I want to make sure that we're purposeful about how it might come to life more than just sharing the video.
Good question.
We'll keep digging on that. Lisa, did you see the video? What do you think about what they're doing?
I did. I think it's beautiful. One question that I have for Tom is, did they mention anything about copyright or any issues there?
No, they said we're free to use whatever we want.
Okay.
There was no permissions required.
Okay.
And, and yes, I was definitely concerned that, we weren't obviously, taking someone's content and using it inappropriately. And there was no issue with it whatsoever. So what is there in their toolkit is available to us to use. And so, after we talked about it today, I wanted to give one more shot at it. And I actually did invite them to come on to a morning show or our next think tank to really share more details and for us to align with them. Because, I think for this case and for the future, I will say that, I was kind of disappointed that, someone would undertake that comprehensive of an initiative without a travel agent component, right? And, with all those suppliers, somebody at some point should have raised their hand and said, hey, what about the travel agents? How are we going to engage with them? What's the messaging for them? How do we get them involved? So we're going to take that initiative. I think it's the right thing for us to do as the hub, and I will follow up. My goal is to get with them and to, better understand how we can be aligned for this and also for all the ads going forward, because there's going to be much more. So let's definitely maximize it, because one of the things I want to talk about today as well is that our marketing and advertising opportunities are going to be few and far between. And I'll tell you why in a little bit once we get into it. But I think we have to, whenever there is some, we have to take advantage of them and maximize them.
One thing I'm sorry, go ahead, Molly, go ahead.
Sorry. So is there a way that the hub could have a link that we could then post on all of our individual, Instagrams and Facebooks and websites and different things like that? Is there a way for kind of the hub to be a funnel for that to be accessible for us?
Yeah, that one-to-many distribution is, I think, what we got to do. An individual agent might not be able to keep track of everything, but if we can create a resource, and I wonder if we could just straight co-brand it, Tom. What I'm thinking of is something that we kicked around last week is get the big voice guy or gal for Let's Go There, and here's a Let's Go There update, right? And then the music behind their spot for 45 seconds, and we create a daily podcast of the news that's happening. And hey, St. Lucia's down to code 1 or level 1, and we send that out and make that available for agents to use. And we don't brand it with any one agent. We are just amplifying their message with news when it breaks. Here's travel news, travel updates, things you need to know. So as an agent, you can feel like you're plugged into, imagine a miniature CNN breaking news, but with what their stuff sounds like and our ability to make one-to-many communications, we could then arm our agents with exciting news about St. Lucia, click here to hear it. And you get a nice, slickly produced 30-second podcast that could become a feed of breaking travel news as stuff happens. And that would be really easy to update. And if Let's Go There would partner with us, if it was a Let's Go There news update or Let's Go There travel, whatever, Molly and Lisa or Tom, whatever you think, but that's something we could churn out at scale, at pace, anytime news were to break.
Right. Yeah. I love that whole concept, even with or without Let's Go There, because, we talk about this on every call. There's always something new every single week that needs to be communicated, and doing it in quick little bites that are quickly repurposed and are somewhat agnostic, so to speak. I think those would be very valuable. That way you don't have to recreate the wheel. Everyone can write their own call to action copy that applies to them and their travel agency, and away we go. Love it.
Yeah, and the thing is the professionals that are on the hub have the ability to make it look a little bit better than just the copy and paste that I did from a Sandals email I got,
Right.
You can make it look a little bit nicer so that when I copy and paste it, like you said, it's a little audio verb. It's something that's a little more enticing.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I think me and Pat and Danielle will definitely, kind of talk through that and figure out how we can create a schedule or how we can create a game plan for just pumping those out and making them available to hub members.
So I just wanted to show you what I was talking about. Here's my little Facebook blurb that came out yesterday. And basically I just clipped it from a Sandals email and then just posted it. Because it was quick, it was easy, it just happened. But it's pretty basic. It's nothing real extravagant.
I think it looks good.
Well, thank you.
Now, here's what I'm wondering. Okay, so I'm going back into my radio roots here, but what radio stations will do is they'll get news, weather, traffic, those sorts of things, distributed white label, meaning the one person in New York that cuts it is used all around the country with no one's branding on it, such that it's read in a way where it's not like, welcome to the Hub News Update. It's read in a way which is, hey guys, we're really excited. St. Lucia's down to level 1. That means we're going to get there sooner. Make sure you click the link in this post because we've got all the information. And in the post, we never say the Hub. We never say anything. It sounds like it's Molly's news agency. It sounds like I'm on Lisa's team, right? We can present it in a way where we are adding content under your brand, not our brand. And that I would think that as an agent, that would be awesome because you could then be putting it up on your social as, hey, our news partner is really excited to share this, or I've got this information, Pat will tell you more. And it's like all of a sudden I work for you. I'm your news guy, right? And it makes you sound like you're a bigger deal without, I mean, there's no reason for us to brand the Hub in your social media. That doesn't make any sense.
Right. Yeah, I love it. Yeah, I think that could be done in a really great way. And it's something unique on social. It's, all of us as agents, we're always, and this goes kind of to I want to talk about this today, but this goes to Nolan and Tom Carnes' point last week, is that, we spend a lot of time and energy promoting brands other than our own. And we end up being the de facto marketing arm for, resort suppliers, tour operator, cruise lines. We're sort of doing their marketing work with them and for them, and for us, because there is obviously a benefit. But at the same time, I think, one of the things we want to talk about is, putting the agency brand first, realizing the importance of the agency brand.
Yep.
And this is a great way to do it with unique content that looks different on social than what we've been doing in the past, right? What we've been doing is it's fairly generic. There's not much that's creative. There's a few creative people out there, I'll give them credit, that are doing some unique stuff. But by and large, people are just repurposing posts, that and links that they find, and maybe we can not that there's 100% anything wrong with that, because it's content and it's attractive. But if we can do something new and different, I think that'd be awesome.
Tom, are you familiar with BranchUp?
I am not.
Okay. Royal Caribbean, my rep from Royal Caribbean hooked me up with a company called BranchUp. And you can go in and request what tour operators and different things like that that you want to utilize, and they automatically post on your social media. This happens to be Facebook. And so I'm getting posts every day that I don't have to come up with. And it's a free service. So that might be something that other people in our position, yeah, that's it right there. And you sign up for it. Royal Caribbean is offering it for free, basically. And it has wonderful little, it's pictures with a small catch to it. And it doesn't say anything about anything else. And I'm wondering if maybe this somehow could be tied in with the little news idea. So I don't know how. but it might be able to. So I'm going to turn my screen around just so that you can see it, of what their little blurbs. So here's one that says beautiful and colorful Bali, and it's just a picture. Here's another one where they actually put in a celebrity cruise, but it goes back to me. It doesn't go to celebrity cruises. So that was 2 days ago. Here is yesterday's, just talking about River Bali. So it's just keeping something up on your screen. And it's supposed to help with the algorithms and all that kind of stuff that happen with that. So there's my post. I actually did that one. And then here's the one that they did for me.
So Molly, do you get the post before it arrives on Facebook? Do you have a choice of whether or not you want it, that particular post?
No.
Okay.
But you can go back in if you keep getting posts that you don't think are going to work for your agency, then what you do is you can go in and change the tour operators or the destinations that you have chosen on BranchUp.
Oh, nice.
I did a more wide variety. Just there would be something coming, all the time.
Right.
But, and I do specialize more in the Caribbean, but I do sell everything because I'm the only agency within about a 45-mile radius of me. Okay. So I kind of put a little bit of everything on there. And so how we could maybe get that to tie into what we're trying to do at the hub, I think there might be some type of a partnership there too.
Yeah, I love it. And then do they do both Facebook and Instagram?
I gave them my Instagram, but I haven't seen anything come across on my Instagram. So I don't know whether either it didn't connect or whether they haven't picked up Instagram yet. I think it's pretty much Facebook based. Okay. But Instagram, I've noticed on my posts that I've been doing lately, because this summer I, took the opportunity to spend a little more time with Instagram, and I noticed the videos that I've been posting, if I post them on Instagram and then tie them into Facebook, they get more hits on Instagram than they do on Facebook. Right. I'm sure it has to do with the algorithms, and of course I do not understand that stuff at all. So, but I really want to utilize that Instagram because I'm getting hits and I'm getting younger hits.
Yeah, that's great. Well, and the thing about it is too, not only the consistent presence and the work that they're doing to, to keep you in front of everybody on Facebook, it's also such a time savings. For me, the biggest challenge is, just remembering to do it or deciding what to do and the process of doing it. It takes time to, to be really effective at social media. It takes time, and you have to, and it's not a one-off thing. You have to be on it like every single day. And this really, I think, takes a little bit of the stress out of it, because you don't have to rack your brain to figure out, what should I be posting on, what's happening, and it's all on autopilot, which I think is awesome, especially for, not for your entire social strategy, but for a piece of it. You can still do all your own, customized things that you want to do, but at least you have a baseline level of social presence that they're handling. I think it's awesome.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why I did it, is because at least I know that there's something being posted every day. So if I'm not here on the weekends, I still know there's something getting posted. And the same thing is if I forget to do it that day, or like I had a medical procedure last week, and so I was out for a couple of days. So, I know that at least there's something on there every day.
So this would be a fantastic topic that the hub could talk about. And Molly, you could, give the information. I think that would be fantastic. And to take it a step further, you mentioned Instagram. I am Instagram clueless. I have no idea. And I know that there's a lot of us this age that feel the same way. That would be another thing we could do, is a little bit of training on how to use Instagram, how to use it appropriately, how to use it for marketing. At Facebook, I think most people are doing that, but is Facebook the same thing? And
Yeah,
I've also heard Pinterest is another way to capture some additional business, which I have no clue how that would work. But again, those of us who are in the hub and have a little bit more knowledge on that would be beneficial.
Yeah, and you're bringing up a very important topic, because Pat and I talked a little bit about this before the call today. But one of the things that was in our original plan, is on our roadmap, that we very much want to do. Like we've talked about, we can only there's only so many of us, and we can only do so many things at a time. But one of the things we want to look at next, and that kind of falls directly into this category, is that we always plan to build a industry resource center, on the hub, a group essentially within the hub that had different industry constituents, so social media expertise, an attorney, a public relations contact, a CRM contact, someone like BranchUp could essentially function on the hub as an agency resource. So Pat and I talked about it today, and I think the timing is right. We build it sort of like we have up now. We've sort of build it block by block based on what's most important, knowing that time is of the essence. But I think in your case, Lisa, on the social side, it'd be great to have a travel industry social media expert associated with the hub. Now, they wouldn't work for us. They're independent companies, but at least they would be engaged and accessible to hub members. So if you really needed someone, or if we needed someone to come on and talk about social media marketing and having a business strategy that incorporates Facebook, Pinterest, Twitter, Instagram, we could have that person sort of as a part of our allied team resources. So I think that would be an awesome piece of place of value and a benefit to the hub members.
Yeah, how cool would that be? That would be amazing.
Well, we can make it happen. That's definitely within. Well, think about it from their perspective, from a vendor perspective, so to speak. They want to connect with agents. They want to be able to share their expertise, and they're hungry too for business. So I think the timing is really good there.
I think the first professional you should reach out to is perhaps a therapist for all of us.
Exactly. No doubt. No, and we definitely want to when we get into this, one of the first things I was going to do is ask people what they want and what they need most. What's the priority? If we started to build this resource center of allied industry partners, so to speak, what's the most important thing that we need? And I think therapy is really a great place to start.
When we were talking about social media, it's touching on something that we don't think of very often. We were talking about how do we get in front of our customers, and our revenue is down, our budgets are slashed, we're not getting a lot of support. That's the thing that's easy to go to. But there's also the time budget, and there's the amount of free space we have in our brain to keep something going like social media. Because if it's not your native language, it can be a real mental drain to keep it going and a huge distraction. So it's definitely something BranchUp. Thank you so much, Molly, for pointing that out. That could be a great partner for a lot of the folks on the hub. And a quick word on social media. So many small business owners start in social media and they feel like they got to spin all the plates at once, and it becomes a big waste of time. Picking one, marrying it, and running for office on it is not a bad thing. You don't need to support all of them at once. And to get behind what Tom was saying, I'm sure we can find plenty of vendors that would love to come here and talk with the agents and potentially destinations or suppliers that could use help in a myriad of different things. Tom, what has changed for us about doing what we're doing and connecting with our customers since the virus hit? Because it's really not the same world anymore.
Right. And it really, what we just talked about with, how we're maximizing like our social media messaging and our footprint and getting business from it is more important than ever, because what do we out is how do we market and advertise and get our message out to consumers? Because the good old days that that we previously had, you know, where there was very specific processes. For example, Supplier CoOp, right? You know, essentially we worked with suppliers to cooperatively market and advertising. They paid half, we paid half. Well, those days are gone, you know, for the foreseeable future, and probably well into 2021, you know, before any supplier is likely to help us with an advertising campaign or defer any of the cost. And so knowing that, you know, we need to have a game plan, because we can't just do nothing. You know, we still have to, you know, get our message out to consumers, and so do suppliers. It'll be interesting to see what the suppliers' game plan is, you know, because if they don't have the budgets to support Travel Agent Co-op in the way that they used to, how do they get their message out? Because they have the same considerations. Also, you know, things like bridal shows. You know, if you're in the romance travel business with honeymoons and destination weddings, you know, bridal shows are kind of the mainstay of how you got a lot of your business. And I haven't seen, you know, and I don't expect that the traditional bridal show is going to come back anytime soon. So if you're in the romance business, what do you do there? And for each of these travel niches, you know, how do we get business? How do we get our message out? You know, that kind of leaves us with social media. It kind of leaves us with email. And a really big point that I was going to touch on today is the most important asset that we have is our customers and our customer database. And how are we maximizing that? And how do we increase, I called it like our customer IQ. How do we increase our customer IQ? Because that's the only way that we're going to be able to engage with our customers in order to get the message out and create bookings. Where in the past we could spend money doing things that were more developmental, or that, hey, if they really didn't work, it's okay, we got our name out there. Well, now we have to make everything count because money is at a premium.
So what are you doing to engage your customers right now in your database? Tom or Molly or Lisa, what are you doing at this moment? Molly or Lisa, what are you doing right now with the customers in your database?
Not a whole lot. I've been doing, as far as marketing, Facebook. It's so I love that I'm going to be using BranchUp starting today. I'm really excited about that. But otherwise, not a whole lot. What about you, Molly?
Well, I have a couple of different things that have been working out. My website is done through online agency, and so they send out a newsletter for me.
Oh,
and
nice.
then I also work through Client Base and travel leaders, and they're sending out emails for me. So my clients are getting probably about at least one, maybe 2 emails a week, a newsletter once a month, and then I'm also doing social media. So I also, all those people that were supposed to travel over the summer, usually I send them a welcome home or a thank you card. And so this time I did that as when they were supposed to travel, and just said, thank you, even though you weren't able to travel this time, appreciate your loyalty and can't wait to rebook your vacation. You know, so I kind of touched base with those that had already showed that they were going to be, you know, clients, but weren't able to accomplish the trip.
You reminded me, I am doing the travel leaders marketing. So those are automatically going out.
So what are you getting back from that? So Molly, when you see you're very active, what kind of response are you getting, and what are they saying when they come back to you?
That's the hard part, is you're not getting a lot of response back, other than, you know, hey, we do want to travel, but we don't know when. We're not sure when, you know, that kind of a thing. And those that I am checking in with, they're like, well, we're just not really ready yet. So a lot of that. Now I have gotten some responses, especially from the videos I've been posting of my travels. That has really been probably the best thing. And people who are commenting on that and sending me messages on that.
Yeah, I think you brought up a good point with the consortia. So my question is, and what I wonder is that how long will the consortia continue to do their marketing efforts on behalf of agents? Because that is supplier supported as well, right? So, there may be some 2020 budgets that are left, where things are still scheduled, or maybe they deferred things and money that was supposed to occur, in, March, April, May, that, was still there. But my concern is the consortia going to be a reliable marketing arm for its members moving forward? And the answer may be yes, or the answer may be that some yes, some no, because their marketing capabilities are only as good as the supplier funding that is being provided, because that's how that equation works. We all know that. And so I think we should just pay attention to that and kind of see, because if there is a consortia advantage, like a Travel Leaders or others that are really out there doing aggressive marketing that is substantial for agents, obviously that's where the good, where we as top agents want to gravitate, because we need that as a resource and a benefit of consortium membership. Where in the past, maybe we used it, maybe we didn't. Now I think it's more important than ever to understand what the consortia is doing or is not doing on behalf of the members.
I have a question. It's not on this topic.
Oh, go ahead.
Have you heard of the Travel Alliance Partners? TAP?
I have not.
No. What about you, Molly?
No.
So I came across it. I got an invite to attend one of their webinars today. It's a network, and I don't quite understand what it is. If it's in place of a consortia, it's TAP, so it's tapintotravel.com. And it's kind of interesting. It almost looks like a consortia, but with various guaranteed departures, and I don't know, it's different.
It says that it was, I'm looking at their website right now, Travel Alliance Partners was established in 2001 with a simple vision to join forces with quality tour operators who each offered their own areas of geographical expertise.
So then there's an area where the buyer can go in, and we as the travel advisor would be considered the buyer. I was going to sign up to get some information on it. But it talks about higher commissions, guaranteed departures.
Interesting. Let's go back just for 1 second on the marketing piece before we close that up. If you had a magic wand, what would you have for your marketing that you don't have right now? If you had a marketing director on staff, what would she do for you? What would you want? What's missing that's either a pain in the neck to create or something that isn't available that you wish you had?
Well, I would have said social media, but that's pretty much fixed now.
Yeah. Well,
to a point, right? I mean, one Facebook post a day is great, but it's not the solution.
Right.
I was going to say that there is in the digital advertising world, there is sophistication beyond what any of us really understand. That works in terms of like there's all of these strategies. There's customer retargeting. There's geofencing. There's all this very sophisticated stuff that social media marketers at digital ad agencies can do that we as agents, speaking for me personally, I have no idea what to do, but they do. And that's how bigger companies that have bigger media budgets, and even smaller ones that are used more effectively, how they can be successful at social media, because they're really good at geofencing, customer retargeting, and the initial customer targeting parameters that they devise. They fish where the fish are, so to speak, and that improves results exponentially, because what happens is that when they do this customer retargeting strategy, as you continue to build on that, your customer retargeting group, essentially those people that have showed an interest in your particular ad or product, the size of that database or the size of that audience gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And those retargeted customers are the ones that have the best propensity to buy your product because they've shown interest in it. And that alone is a great first step to say, hey, I clicked on your ad, or, you know, I clicked on your video, whatever it was. Even though I didn't buy from you this time, I showed an interest, and that means something.
When we talk about this at scale, that is something we could provide. We could provide digital marketing expertise and allow people to opt into campaigns and continue to scale. Those are services that we could provide as the hub if members were interested in doing it. From my experience, to jump off on anything that's that purposeful, it's a multi-month commitment, and it's, you know, $500 to $1,000 to $1,500 a month. Is that feasible for the average agent to undertake? I mean, right now, of course not, but when things are quote unquote more back to normal, is that something without co-op that agents could partake in?
I don't think so without co-op.
You know,
But now maybe that's where we crack the code. What if we can provide the co-op? This place is about agents and suppliers together. What if we could then have a supplier come along with us and participate in the co-op for that type of outreach?
What about the Let's Go? Because they are going to want that information too.
Sure.
Mhm.
So you're saying maybe a three-legged stool between a supplier and Let's Go and agents?
Yeah, we would have to be willing to give up the data for Let's Go to see the data,
Mm-hmm.
but we would have access to the data also, but they would be paying for it basically.
And it would look great, and it would be updated, and you wouldn't have to do anything other than repost.
Exactly.
Right. And, you know, I think one of the things to cracking the code, like Pat said, one of the things, like from the supplier co-op standpoint, is that at some point, you know, if you're showing a significant return on investment, you know, the investment shouldn't be a problem, right? You know, you can't keep saying, well, there's no budget, there's no budget, there's no budget. We can't do anything ever until this date and time, because that's, you know, there's so much lost opportunity. So if we can show results, and if we do this well, we'll be able to find some suppliers who are willing to get involved, because, you know, if they're hurting for business, or if they need to, you know, get products and promotions out there, you know, they're going to need our support. And also, since we're the ones doing the bookings, you know, it makes sense that, you know, that we're going to be in partnership with them like we always have been. So I think this is something we can explore some more, that I think if we really can, if we do this right, Pat, like you mentioned, and provide this in a really compelling way, I think, you know, even if we only have a few hub participants, you know, in like a test, in a beta test program, that's a great start, right? Because like I said, doing this right is very complex, and it's not easy for the average agent to build these very sophisticated campaigns. I know this because I worked with a digital ad agency previously, and the things that they were talking about, terms like I mentioned to you, that I had never even heard before, and I didn't even know existed. And so bringing that expertise to the table only helps us and only increases the chances that we'll be successful.
The opportunity we have is that we can do it at scale. If it becomes a hub member benefit, imagine a two-layered opportunity where if you're a hub member, there's a consistent stream of social media posts that you can use just because you're a member. And then you can also opt into a subsidized co-op for boosting and promoting and retargeting your agency in partnership with. So there's two layers of social participation. One is a member benefit. The second is an optional program, but is subsidized to a point by our agency partners, our supplier partners, rather. I mean, that could be a really compelling way when people say, what's the difference with the hub? It's not only all of us collaborating together under one roof, sharing information, hosting events, talking directly to suppliers. There's also an actual hardwired member benefit of marketing.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I agree. Yeah, I think that's awesome.
Okay. We only have a couple of, I'm sorry, go ahead, Lisa. Or Molly, I couldn't tell who it was.
It's Molly.
Oh, Molly, go ahead.
saying that sounds wonderful, you know, and that's why I was willing to become a member of the hub, is because I saw potential in what the hub could do for not only an individual agent, but an agency.
Well, thank you. No doubt.
Yes.
And, that's where we're going. And like we've always talked about, some of these things can't happen overnight. There's only so many hours in the week, but and also you guys are helping bring this to life. You're bringing ideas to the table.
Yep.
And things that none of us have ever thought about. Like, before we had this conversation today, I had no idea that BranchUp even existed.
Mhm.
And that's a huge development for us. That's something that can help our members, and it's something that we as the hub, can include in our Path to Prosperity plan that says, hey, you know what, how to maximize your social media footprint. We have a great solution for that.
Yep.
Well, and two, what I like is that was something I got from one of my BDMs. And, why your BDM didn't give you that, I don't know, but that's what I feel like the hub is you may have a different BDM that gives you something that I don't have, and I wouldn't have gotten it unless you and I were talking.
Mm-hmm. Yes, absolutely. No doubt.
Bingo on that.
And then I just have one more, because I know we're running out of time, but one more really important thing that goes as a part of this conversation. And that is, we have to utilize the collaboration aspects of the hub. And what I mean by that is, there's people out there that are doing unique and different stuff. The example that I always give is Randy Ott's, his music, Guitars and Smoke Bars program. If people are out there and, there may be other hub members that are doing 10 other things, somebody might have a culinary program, or somebody has a fitness and wellness program, or somebody has a romance approach. If somebody out there is doing something compelling that we can bring together on the hub, so maybe 2 agents or 5 or 10 are interested in that, and somebody's already done all the work of thinking it through, working out logistics, producing marketing pieces. If somebody's already done all that work, kind of done the testing of it to see if it works, we should be collaborating and pulling those things together and creating little clusters of people that are interested in doing the same types of things. Like, if you're a fitness and wellness, specialist, and you've really figured out how to do that, find 4, 5, 6 other members on the hub and build a little fitness and wellness coalition and go out there and market it together. If it's a group trip, or if it's a specialized trip that that people are offering, or maybe even it's just, if it's a one-off that you want to do on your own, but utilize the strategy, that's a really great place to collaborate and use that wisdom and expertise for the benefit of all the members.
Great idea.
Yeah, those would be great webinars and good conversations for us to host, Tom. Let's keep our ears open on that. Before we wrap up the call for today, Lisa, any final thoughts? And thank you so much for contributing as much as you did today.
No, not really. I mean, like Tom said, I think BranchUp was the big aha moment today.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I'm excited to get started on that.
That's
And
great.
I'm in the throes of planning my trip to Puerto Vallarta.
That's right.
In November.
We're working,
Looks like it's
we're
gonna
working
be
with Lisa on that. Lisa's going to do some great things down there.
Nice.
And here's and what I love about today is that, this is a small but mighty group today, right? We didn't need to have a huge number of people. We had a few really engaged, smart people here that are talking about very important topics that we can all learn from. And it just goes to show the value that the hub brings. This conversation would have never taken place without it. And like I said, small but mighty gets the job done.
Agreed.
Every single time.
Agreed. Final words, Molly, anything that you want to share before we wrap up?
I just want to say thank you to you guys for putting this together and making this a platform that I feel like I can be a part of. So I just want to say thank you so much. And I'm glad to be able to participate.
Oh,
Ditto.
thank you for giving. We appreciate your thoughts and for being a part of our conversation today. So here's what's next. Our next live broadcast is going to be on Thursday at 11:30. That's the Hub Morning Show's new time, Thursday mornings at 11:30 Central. So for Tom and Danielle, Lisa and Molly, thank you so much for coming on today. That puts a wrap on the Hub Think Tank for the 15th of September, 2020. We'll see you next time.